This is the all-new Canyon Endurace, a bike that is both conservative in its middle-of-the-road geometry, but also radical, with features never before seen in the cycling industry. But more on that later. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the Canyon Endurace, it has been a staple in their lineup since it was first released back in 2014. And like the name suggests, is designed to blend speed, comfort, and versatility. And this latest model pushes the envelope in all three of those. So why don't we start by diving straight in and talking about what's new on this 2023 Endurace. Now, it's worth noting before we get too far into this that Canyon has only updated the upper end Endurace. That's the CF SLX and the CFR models. You can still get the CF and the AL models, but they're not going to have these same updates. But enough caveats, let's get on to what's arguably the biggest headline for this bike, and that is the in-frame storage. But unlike what we've seen on a lot of bikes in the past where it's in the down tube, Canyon has actually put it in the top tube. Instead of including top tube mounting bolts like you'd find on a gravel bike or even the lower end models of the Endurace, Canyon's gone ahead and built that storage space right into the frame. And it's designed specifically to carry the Canyon Load Toolkit, which gives you everything you need to fix a flat. You get a multi-tool, some tire irons, and of course, a CO2 cartridge. And I'm gonna make the bold claim right here that this is the first ever integrated top tube storage on a road bike. If I'm wrong and you know of another bike, let me know in the comments. Moving on then to the next big new feature on this bike, and that is its aerodynamics. The Endurace borrows the same one-piece CP0018 adjustable aero cockpit from Canyon's racier bikes. This allows for up to 15 millimeters of height adjustment and 40 millimeters of bar width adjustment. Canyon has also slimmed down the head tube and the down tube profile to make the bike extra slippery through the air, and this Endurace features some all-new forks from Canyon that have a narrower front profile as well as a bit of a wider side profile that should make the bike, again, that much more aerodynamic without sacrificing control or stability. All in all, these changes saved 7 watts at 45 kilometers per hour over the previous generation Endurace. So that covers the speed side of things, but I told you earlier that this bike is versatile as well, and one of the big ways that this bike is able to do that is with its new tire clearance. It can fit up to 35 mil tires front and back. Now, should you choose to run 35s, you'll need to buy those yourself because the bike is spec'd with a 32 millimeter tire in the back and a 30 millimeter in the front, which Canyon claims strikes the perfect balance between compliance, rolling resistance, and aerodynamics. But don't worry, we haven't forgotten about that third category, which is of course comfort. And that's one of the big reasons why people are gonna turn towards a bike like the Endurace instead of racier bikes like the Canyon Ultimate or Aero Race. And a big way that Canyon is doing this is by including the all-new VCLS 2.0 seat post, which has a carbon leaf spring construction that allows for up to 25 millimeters of vertical compliance. And if all those updates have left you feeling a little bit shell-shocked, don't worry, because the Endurace still features the same endurance-focused geometry that Canyon has employed on this bike for years. It has a shorter reach and higher stack than Canyon's racier road bikes, which allows for a more upright position, taking some of the stress off of your shoulders and lower back. For context, the size medium has a 443 millimeter reach and a 669 millimeter stack height. The rest of the geometry, as you'd probably guess, sits right between the Grizzle, which is Canyon's gravel bike, and the Ultimate, their racier road bike. More specifically, the Endurace has a 73-degree head tube angle, a 73.5-degree seat tube angle, 73mm bottom bracket drop, and 415mm chain stays. But don't write this off as simply a comfort or fitness bike. Canyon just simply understands that being comfortable is the first step to being fast, especially for weekend warriors like us. Lastly, this bike is available in a whopping 8 sizes, all the way from extra, extra, extra small up to double XL. Those 2 smallest sizes feature a 650B wheel instead of a 700C, and across the entire size spectrum, Canyon claims that it's got riders covered all the way from 5 feet tall to 6'7". Next up, we're going to talk about the whopping 8 new models that Canyon has released with this new bike. But first, we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what you think about the new Endurace and all its crazy new features. And while you're down there, why don't you go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well, where we'll be posting new cycling content every week. Now, on to the bikes. Like I mentioned earlier, at this point, Canyon has only made these updates to the 2 upper end model lines, and that's the CF SLX and the CFR. Each one of these 8 bikes features all the sweet new updates that we talked about earlier, as well as their own respective part kits. It's also worth noting that every one of these new bikes, except for the highest end Campagnolo model, does come with a power meter. Either the 4Rise version if it's a Shimano equipped bike, or the Quark power meter if it's SRAM. The CF SLX is available in 5 different build kits, with your choice of Shimano or SRAM group sets. But us here in the US only have 3 of those models available to us. The least expensive way you can get your hands on a new Endurace is with the CF SLX 7 Di2 model. As the name suggests, it does feature the Shimano 105 Di2 group set and DT Swiss Endurance LN wheels. Moving upwards then to the top tier CFR models, of which there are 3. Now, CFR stands for Canyon Factory Racing and is a badge reserved for only a few select bikes, featuring a special carbon layup with higher mod sheets, making this frame 100 grams lighter than the SLX version. I mentioned earlier that there are 3 different CFR bikes, and that's to go with each one of the 3 major drivetrain manufacturers: Shimano, SRAM, and of course, Campagnolo. And that Campagnolo bike is going to be the most expensive, costing a whopping 9,499 pounds or $12,089 US. This bike, the CFR WRL, features the Campagnolo Super Record WRL drivetrain, as well as their Bora Ultra WT wheels, and weighs just 7.2 kilograms or 15.8 pounds, which is feather light. Lastly, I do just want to point out one more time that if you're not looking to spend over $4,000 on your next road bike, Canyon still got you. The Endurace AL6 starts at just $1,500 US. So, a lightweight, fast, and comfortable bike with clearance for up to 35mm tires and in-frame storage? Sounds to us like Canyon might have just made the perfect bike for most recreational riders. But again, we want to hear from you. Let us know in the comments what you think about this bike. We're actually hoping to get one of these in from Canyon to do a physical review here in the new future, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that video when it comes out. Until then, remember that bikes are for everyone. Have fun out there.